New York is about to become a hunting ground. Watch until the very end, because every clue matters, and the final minutes reveal the one chance they have to stop the nightmare. Chapter 1: The Blackwater. I was standing on the West Side Highway when the first call came in. Not from a person. From the city itself. The air had a strange bite to it, like cold metal. Sirens echoed off the buildings, but the sound kept getting swallowed by a low, steady rumble rolling in from the harbor. People stopped walking. Taxi drivers leaned out of windows. Everyone looked south, toward the water, that I'm a special forces operator. I've done raids in deserts and mountains, places where fear makes sense. New York never felt like that to me. New York felt untouchable. Then the Hudson started moving the wrong way, that it wasn't a tide. It was as if something huge was pulling the river inward, dragging the surface down. A whirlpool formed near the battery, and the water darkened like ink. Minutes later, the Coast Guard radio traffic went frantic. A patrol boat reported a moving island beneath them. The line went dead mid-sentence, that I was already being pushed toward a staging area near Pier 40 when I saw her for the first time. Dr. Maya Ortega, a marine biologist brought in, because nobody could explain what the sensors were reading. She stood under a portable light, hair whipped by wind, staring at a tray of seawater samples like they were venom. "We're not tracking a ship," she said to the officers. Her voice was steady, but her eyes weren't. "That's an organism. Something that's been deep for a long time." "What kind of organism?" I asked. She looked up at me. "The kind that should not fit in this world." Out in the harbor, the whirlpool widened. The rumble became a growl, and the city's lights flickered, like New York was holding its breath. Chapter 2: Liberty Falls. The first wave hit Liberty Island like a fist. From Manhattan, we watched the water rise and slam into the seawall. Ferries rocked. People screamed and ran, tiny shapes on live helicopter footage. The emergency broadcast told everyone to stay indoors, but the streets were already filling with panicked crowds trying to get out. Then the harbor exploded that a head broke the surface, too large to understand at first. It looked like a cliff tearing free from the ocean floor. Water poured off it in sheets. A mouth opened, lined with sharp fangs, and a roar shook the glass in the buildings around me. The monster climbed onto Liberty Island with claws that dug into rock like it was wet clay. Its glowing red eyes fixed on the statue as if it recognized a threat, or a symbol that it struck fast. One claw raked the pedestal. Stone shattered. The statue tilted. People were running in every direction, some diving behind concrete barriers, others frozen, staring up at something their minds could not accept. The monster slammed its tail against the base. The sound wasn't just loud. It was final. The Statue of Liberty broke. The torch arm sheared away and fell, sparks and dust rising like smoke. The crown cracked. The whole figure collapsed with a grinding scream of metal and stone, crashing into the water and sending a wave back toward Manhattan. For a moment, the city went quiet. Even the sirens seemed to pause. Then the screaming started again, louder, because now everyone knew the truth. The ocean had delivered a predator, and it had chosen New York. Chapter 3: Streets of Bone and Glass. The monster came for Manhattan next, that it didn't swim around the island. It pushed through the shallows and dredged itself forward, dragging that massive tail behind it like a wrecking ball. Water flooded the lower streets. Cars bobbed and crashed into each other. Subway entrances turned into drains swallowing the city, that I moved with a rapid response team down toward the financial district, trying to keep evacuation routes open. The noise was constant. Helicopters, collapsing scaffolds, the monster's roar, and something worse, the sound of people realizing they could not run far enough. The creature climbed onto the seawall near Battery Park and smashed a line of vehicles with one sweep of its claws. It didn't just kill by accident. It hunted. It lowered its head, sniffed, and snapped people up in quick bites. As if the city were a buffet. That's when Dr. Ortega found me again, soaked to the knees, carrying a hard case. "I need a secure room and power," she shouted over the chaos. Now, we got her into a temporary command site inside a reinforced loading bay. She set up equipment fast, hands shaking only when she thought nobody was watching. Under the microscope, she showed me a smear of black seawater filled with tiny, bright specks that pulsed like living sparks. "It's deep-sea bioluminescence," she said, "but mutated. The water around the creature is full of it, like it's shedding a layer of microorganisms." "What does that mean?" I asked. "It means it's adapted to pressure and darkness," she said. "And it may have a weakness here in the open air, in our temperature, in our chemistry." Outside, the building shuddered. A distant crash rolled through the streets. The monster was moving north. Maya stared at the glowing sample and swallowed hard. "If we don't figure it out fast," she said, "there won't be a city left to save." Chapter 4: The Deep Sea Secret. By nightfall, Lower Manhattan looked like a war zone. The military threw everything at the creature: gunfire, rockets, drones. The attacks made it angry, not dead. Its hide was thick, scarred, and wet like armored rock. When a missile hit its shoulder, it barely staggered. It turned, and its tail took out a building corner, dropping steel and glass onto the street like rain. Inside the command post, arguments turned into shouting matches. The city's leaders demanded a quick solution. The generals demanded more firepower. None of it mattered. Maya didn't care about rank. She pointed at her data like it was a verdict. "This thing isn't just big," she told us. "It's built for extreme pressure. Deep ocean pressure. The only reason it can stand up here is because its body is holding itself together with something like a living gel, a biological support system." She opened a case and showed a vial of pale fluid. "I think the microorganisms in the seawater are part of it, a symbiotic layer. If we break that layer, we can make it vulnerable." "How?" someone asked. "Chemical shock," she said. "A compound that disrupts the gel structure and kills the symbiotes." I stared at the vial. "We inject it." Maya nodded, but her face was grim. "It won't work like a tranquilizer. It has to reach deep tissue. Close range. Close range with a monster that could knock down towers that I volunteered before anyone else could. Not because I was brave, but because I could not stand the idea of watching the city die from a distance." Maya grabbed my arm as the meeting broke. "If you go in," she said quietly, "you can't hesitate. The dosage window will be short. If it doesn't take, you won't get a second chance." Outside, the monster's red eyes glowed between buildings, moving like twin signal lights in smoke. That I checked my gear, felt the weight of the injector device, and listened to the city groan around us. New York was bleeding, and the night wasn't over. Chapter 5: The Trap Beneath the City. We needed to force the creature into a tight space. Maya found the answer on a map: a maintenance access route near the waterfront leading into service tunnels and old infrastructure channels. If we could lure it toward a choke point, somewhere its movement would slow, we could get close enough to inject the compound. The plan sounded clean on paper. In real life, it was terror. We moved through back streets, guiding evac teams away while positioning bait signals. Heat sources, sound cannons, anything to draw it. The monster followed the noise like a shark following blood. When it slammed into the edge of the access area, the ground shook so hard my teeth clicked. Dust poured from overhead beams. Water surged in from broken pipes and cracked walls. That I ran into the tunnel system with 2 operators while Maya stayed just behind the line with a portable monitor, watching the creature's movement from sensor feeds. The air was damp, thick with rust and sewage stink. The lights flickered as the city's power grid fought to stay alive. That a roar thundered through the tunnel like a freight train. The monster's claws scraped concrete above us. It was right there, pressing down into the city's guts, trying to reach the heat and noise. The tunnel ceiling fractured. Chunks of concrete fell. "Now," Maya's voice crackled over the radio. "You're directly under the chest cavity. If you can get to the exposed tissue near the left side." The ceiling split open. A jagged hole appeared, and a single glowing red eye looked down at us, close enough to see reflections in it. The monster's breath poured into the tunnel, hot and foul, carrying salt water and rot. That I sprinted forward, jumped onto fallen debris, and hauled myself up toward the opening. Everything in me screamed to run the other way, but I could see what Maya meant. A raw, pulsing area where armor plates had cracked. That I lifted the injector and drove it into the exposed tissue. The monster shrieked. The sound nearly knocked me off my grip. The tunnel shook like it was about to collapse. That I dropped back down, landing hard, and ran as the ceiling came apart behind us. Maya was waiting at the exit, eyes wide. "Did you get it in?" she yelled. "I got it in," I said, breathless, staring past her as the street trembled. The monster stumbled above ground, thrashing, roaring, scraping at its own hide as if something under the surface had turned against it. And then it turned toward the heart of the city, moving with a new kind of rage. Chapter 6: Dawn Over Ruins. The final hours of the night felt endless. From a rooftop, I watched the skyline flicker through smoke. Fires burned in pockets across the boroughs. Helicopters circled like insects. The monster's shadow moved between buildings, sometimes disappearing, sometimes rising into view like a nightmare refusing to end. Maya stood beside me, holding her monitor with both hands. She looked exhausted, face smeared with soot, hair tangled by wind. "It's reacting," she said. "The symbiotic layer is destabilizing. But it's not over yet." A crash echoed from the direction of the harbor, followed by an unnatural silence. The kind of silence that makes you listen harder. That I thought about the statue lying broken in the water, the torch gone, the crown shattered. I thought about how fast a symbol can fall, and how slow fear can spread after. Maya finally lowered the monitor and looked at me. "Whatever happens next," she said, "we did not face it blind." Below us, the city waited, holding its breath again. The first light of dawn cut through the smoke, thin and pale, shining on flooded streets and shattered glass. And out past the harbor, the ocean looked calm, too calm, like it was hiding the rest of its secrets. That I kept my eyes on the water, because in New York, you learn to watch what's coming. And after tonight, I knew the deep never stops knocking. If you enjoyed this scary New York monster story, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss the next tale, hit like to support the video, comment what you think the creature really was, and share this video with someone who loves horror stories.